generally fill out the first page for you. Most, if not all of it. On page 2, you're going to print your first and last name where it says plaintiff at the top. Next, also print your name in line 1 where it says the plaintiff, parentheses, the person, business, or public entity that is suing is, and if you have more than one plaintiff, or either plaintiff is a business in the fictitious name, or the plaintiff is a paid lender, then you'll need to check the appropriate boxes in this section. Section 1, page 2, SC. One plaintiff sued for the same cause of action, and list the second plaintiff's name in the section that says if more than one plaintiff listed here. Again, referring to section 1. If you have more than 2 plaintiffs suing for the same cause of action, then you'll need to use the supplemental form, which is form SC100A alpha, to list additional plaintiffs. Again, that's if you have more than 2 plaintiffs. If you have one plaintiff, fill it out here. If you have a second plaintiff, fill it out here. If you have more than 2 plaintiffs, then you need a separate form in addition to this, the SC100A. Moving on to section 2 of page 2 of the SC100 form. On section 2, you have to list the name of the person being sued. This is the defendant. If there's more than one defendant whom you're suing for the same cause of action, then list the second person's name in the section below titled. If more than one defendant, list defendant here. And if there are more than 2 defendants, then you use SC100A, just like you would if there were more than 2 plaintiffs. Again, if there's more than 2 defendants, then you need to use a separate form, SC100A. If there's only 2 defendants, then put the second defendant's name here. If there's only one defendant, put the only defendant's name here.
Next, in section 3, entitled, The Plaintiff Claims the Defendant Owes blank. Describe why the defendant or defendants owe you the money. In other words, give a brief description of what the defendant did to you that necessitated you bringing this small claim suit against the defendant. And when describing the date of when the event occurred, use the month, day, year format. In section 3C, explain how you arrived at the amount you are owed by the defendant. This is where you will total all the damages suffered to your person, property, etc. Section 4 of page 3 on the SC100 form pertains to whether you have asked the defendant to pay already. You need to answer whether you have already sent a demand to the defendant to pay you. You should have devoted a good faith effort to reaching out to the defendant to request payment before suing the defendant. However, just because you have not asked the defendant to pay you does not necessarily preclude you from bringing your small claim suit if the reason you have not yet asked the defendant to pay you was because you couldn't locate the defendant or because the defendant had been threatening to you in the past. Section 5, reason for this filing location. Where you file your location is important. You need to explain to the court why you are filing in this courthouse. Section 5 of the SC100 form gives you the reasons why you could be filing in this courthouse, such as where the defendant lives or does business. There's also additional reasons, so read over the reasons given in Section 5 and choose which one applies. Some of the reasons are where the defendant lives or does business, where you or your property was damaged, where a contract was made, signed, performed, or broken by the defendant, or where the defendant lived or did business when the defendant made the contract, among other reasons provided in Section 5. In Section 6, enter the zip code that corresponds to the selection you made. In Section 6, which is the zip code based on the above reason for filing here, once you've selected your reason in Section 5 for filing, you need to choose the zip code that pertains to the reason you gave in Section 5. If your property was damaged in this area, which is why you're suing in this courthouse, then give the zip code as to where your property was damaged. Section 7, attorney-client fee dispute. Normally you choose no unless a very specific instance applies, and that is if you're suing an attorney over a fee dispute. If you are suing an attorney over a fee dispute, then you're going to want to speak with the small claims advisor first about this. Section 8, are you suing a public entity? Choose no unless you are suing a public entity. A public entity would be any agency that is part of the municipal, county, state, or federal government. If you choose yes, then you will also need to speak with a small claims advisor first. 9. Have you filed more than 12 small claims in 12 months? Choose no unless you have initiated more than 12 other small claims suits within the previous rolling 12 months. In other words, 12 months from today. It doesn't matter how many you have filed per month. This is a cumulative total from the period beginning 12 months ago until now, your filing date. You're not necessarily prohibited from filing more than 12 suits in a 12-month period, so long as no more than 2 of the suits are for so long as no more than 2 of the suits are for $2,500 or more in the same calendar year. If you do file more than 12 suits in 12 months, you might have to pay a higher fee. Again, ask the small claims clerk if this applies to you. This rule can be confusing to many, so let me recap and further clarify. You cannot file more than 2 small claims suits within the same calendar year, which begins January 1st, that exceed $2,500. However, you can file an unlimited number of small claims cases that are under $2,500. I'm talking about US dollars. If you file more than 12 cases within a rolling 12-month period, then any case you file after 12 could subject you to a higher fee, but you're not necessarily precluded from filing it. So this should make this otherwise confusing point more understandable. So now you can understand what Section 10 is asking. Are you suing for more than $2,500? Check yes in the checkbox of Section 10 if you have already filed 2 cases for more than $2,500 during this calendar year, which began January 1st. Then you'll be prohibited from filing any additional small claims cases for more than $2,500 until January 1st of next year. If you have already filed 2 cases for more than $2,500 during this calendar year, then you're not allowed to file a 3rd case for more than $2,500 until January 1st of next year. Okay, does that make sense? Send me a comment if you need help. I do provide small claims assistance in the San Diego area, but I do cover all of California. I'm licensed in California. Section 11, waiver of plaintiff's appeal. Now that you understand the 2/2500/calendar year rule, you'll need to date, print, and sign your name in Section 11. Your signature indicates that you declare under penalty of perjury that everything you are stating and submitting is true and correct. If you have a second plaintiff, then make sure the other plaintiff also attests to the truthfulness of the statements and attachments being put forth, and then signs his or her name. The next 2 pages of the SC100 are essentially frequently asked questions for the defendant, first in English, then in Spanish, so there's nothing you need to fill out on those pages. That concludes everything the majority of plaintiffs filing the majority of types of small claims matters will need to understand in completing the small claims form SC100 and beginning the small claims matter. Thank you for watching.